Hello, campers, and welcome to week 8 of the ND Summer Camp with your hosts, camp counselors, Dr. Holly Kendra, and
Dr. Rachel Winstead.
welcome to our final week of ND Summer Camp. I cannot believe that we have already gone through 8 weeks of summer camp. I hope that everything that you have been learning over the past 2 months has been really valuable to you and that you've been able to take it and utilize it to have a wonderfully healthy and fun, safe summer. Today, our last topic that we're going to dive into is we're going to talk about sleep and the importance of sleep during the summer. We're going to talk a little about some sleep disorders, things that you can watch for and keep an eye on. And then we're going to talk about different sleep patterns that you might experience during the summer because we all know we sleep a little bit differently in the summer than we do the rest of the year. That heat and everything just really has an effect on us. Then Dr. Rachel has some awesome tips for us on how we can optimize our sleeping patterns and optimize our sleeping area. And then different ways that we can help support our sleep, whether it's through supplements, through pharmaceuticals, through natural and healthy patterns to change in our bodies and in our environment, things like that. So, without further ado, let's dive in.
Sounds great.
All right, campers, the first thing we're going to talk about is sleep disorders. Sleep is essential for maintaining our health and wellness, not just for our mental and emotional well being, but for our overall health and wellness as well. When we sleep, that's the time that our body takes to kind of process and reconfigure and clear out any waste and kind of move things through. So, we want to make sure that we're getting really good sleep. So today, let's start by talking about just a few of the most common sleep disorders that we see a lot of. The first one is insomnia. And I know a lot of people that deal with insomnia, and it gets way worse during the summer because the heat and the humidity and all kinds of things like that just really have an effect on our sleeping environment and how well we sleep. So, insomnia is described as difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, waking up too early, or not being able to go back to sleep. Any of those different factors can fall under the umbrella term of insomnia. And what this does is it increases our risk of anxiety, of depression, and of cognitive impairment. That's because we're not getting that time. Our brain is not getting that time to process everything that happened during the day prior and to clean up any waste and prepare for the next day. So, if you have any of the symptoms that we described above, that trouble sleeping at night, waking up frequently, daytime fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, you may be dealing with some insomnia. Now, I know that insomnia is something that we can all experience from time to time. It doesn't have to be an ongoing thing. And sometimes it's just a brief thing, and there's something in our life that is contributing to that specific insomnia. But if it is going on for an extended duration of time, you definitely want to look into it and get it checked out. Another one that we see a lot of, especially more, we're seeing it frequently more these days, is sleep apnea. And that is where your breathing will repeatedly stop and start during sleep. It's often accompanied by loud snoring. Now, oftentimes, you will not notice if you have sleep apnea. It is a partner or someone who shares a bed with you that will notice that there may be some sort of sleep apnea going on. They will notice that you are snoring a lot or that your breathing stops and starts, things like that. So keep an eye out for that. Um, what this can lead to on your mental health, your impact, is that daytime sleepiness, some mood swings, and then over the long term, an increased risk of depression and anxiety. So if you find yourself snoring or gasping for air during sleep, if you wake up with dry mouth, if you have a headache in the morning, or excessive daytime sleepiness, consult with your partner. See if maybe they notice whether you've been dealing with any sleep apnea during the night or not, and then follow up on that with your doc and get it checked out. Another one that can keep people up at night is restless leg syndrome, which is an uncontrollable urge to move the legs, often accompanied by uncomfortable sensations. I have dealt with this before on a personal level, and I can tell you it does make it difficult to sleep. And so if you have this, it actually will it will lead to sleep disturbances, daytime fatigue, irritability, and then again, that long term risk of depression and anxiety. If you feel like you've got some unpleasant sensation in your legs where they need to keep moving, you can't keep them still, whether it's in your feet or your lower legs or all the way up to your hips, um, check in on that because that could be restless leg syndrome and there could be something underlying that is leading to it, whether it be something as simple as dehydration or something more complex like anemia. You want to check into restless legs and see why you're having them. Another one is narcolepsy. Oftentimes we can kind of joke about narcolepsy sometimes, but it's not really a joking matter. This is an actual neurological disorder characterized by excessive daytime sleepiness and sudden sleep attacks. So if you are going through your day and you find yourself just so tired that you just fall asleep, that is something to look into. This definitely can lead to unpredictable sleep episodes. So you could be out and about and just feel like you really need to fall asleep. Anxiety, social isolation because you don't want to go out and about for fear that that the sleep is just going to wash over you and you need to fall asleep. Or depression. So if any of this happens, if you notice these sudden sleep attacks, excessive daytime sleepiness, loss of muscle tone, sleep paralysis, or hallucinations, please, please, please consult with a sleep specialist and your PCP and start checking into why you are experiencing narcolepsy. And then the last one I really want to talk about is circadian rhythm disorders. We do see a lot of this, and especially in shift workers as well. So if you are somebody who has to work second shift, third shift, etc., and so it kind of cuts into what would be a normal circadian rhythm cycle, this can affect you as well. So this is a disruption in the natural sleep-wake cycle, often caused by shift work, jet lag, or irregular sleep schedules. This can lead to insomnia, excessive daytime sleepiness, and increased risk of mood disorders. And so, if you have difficulty falling asleep or you find yourself waking up at not the right time when you should, if you're experiencing daytime fatigue or you're having difficulty concentrating, again, something to think about with that circadian rhythm disorder. And this is one that I do a lot of work with. I see a lot of this over in my practice. So, um, that is something that you want to keep an eye out for. So, signs to look for with different sleep disorders, persistent sleep problems. Again, it's that falling asleep and staying asleep. And do you feel like you wake rested at all? So, look into those. If any of those are boxes that you would check, difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep, then sleep could be a problem for you. And we need to figure out what it is and why. Daytime sleepiness, daytime fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, mood changes, behavior changes, cognitive function changes, snoring, gasping for air, restless movements, or waking up with dry mouth and headache. Those are definitely symptoms that you want to look out for. And if you're noticing any of them on a frequent basis, definitely reach out to your primary doc and try and make sure that you're looking into why you could be experiencing that. If these things are persistent, if they're ongoing, and not just for, a day or a week, then that's when you really want to look into them because they do have that impact on your mental and physical well-being. Um, so look into figuring out why sleep could be a problem. And some of the ways that you can do that. First, you want to talk to your PCP. You want to make sure that you let them know, hey, I'm having trouble sleeping, and talk to them about why you think it might be, because they may the doctor that you speak to may not, think to look at that idea. And then advocate for yourself and recommend trying to get a sleep study. Sleep studies are out there and they give you a lot of information. Usually, they send you to a lab, a sleep lab, and they hook you up to some different things and they watch you sleep. And then they kind of check on when you're sleeping, how deep you're sleeping, are you waking up a lot? Why are you waking up a lot? Things like that. And they can go from there and create a personalized treatment plan that can include different lifestyle changes, possibly medications, therapies, or other sleep devices. Now we're going to dive deeper into this in just a minute, but some of the other things that you want to think about your sleep hygiene, you want to think about stress management, and you want to think about healthy diet and exercise. All of these things contribute to our sleep. I talk a lot to my clientele about stress management, finding different techniques such as mindfulness or meditation or breathing exercises that can help our brain wind down and shift into that state of rest and digest. We've talked a lot over the last 2 months about healthy diet and movement. That also will help with sleep. If you are eating well, you're promoting sleep. And if you're moving your body, you're also promoting healthy sleep. Outside of that box and what we're going to talk further about shortly, some other therapies you can look into are cognitive behavioral therapy, continuous positive airway pressure machines. Those are good CPAPs. So if you have sleep apnea, that's something that they might recommend for you. And then there are other different medications available out there to help support sleep. I always recommend those can be short-term use while you try and figure out why you're having trouble sleeping and address the root cause in the first place. And of course, there's a ton of education and support groups out there. So find what's going to work best for you to support any sleep disorder you may have and stay on top of it. Regularly check in with your PCP, with your sleep specialists, your other healthcare providers to make sure that you are taking care of your well being at a sleep level. Anything to add to that, Dr. Rachel?
That was great. I do want to just mention that there are at-home sleep studies. I use Snap Diagnostics. It's fast, it's easy. A lot of people feel more comfortable just going about their usual sleeping routine at home and getting this information. And it is FDA approved. Not every company is FDA approved, but there are options available for at home. And I say this as someone who regularly recommends this based on patients, tests. Some blood work can suggest sleep apnea and what they're telling me. And it is much faster to get in to have a at-home sleep study than it is to get into a sleep center. It's months and months and months and months out. And Snap Diagnostics and other at-home sleep studies do have sleep specialists, board certified sleep specialists who review the data. So you are still getting high quality expert opinion on your results. That's all. Just as someone who prescribes
Fabulous.
it.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. That's huge.
Can be a game changer for people who are worried about spending, months and still struggling and suffering it to be told that there's nothing wrong. It's much easier to have action when it's in your own home and something that can happen relatively quickly.
100%. All right, let's move on. All right, campers. The next handout I want to go over with you is just talking a little bit about sleep patterns in the summer and how summer can affect our sleep. So we know we have longer days in the summer. That means the increased daylight. Sun's coming up earlier in the morning and it's going down, still going down after 9, 10 o'clock here sometimes. So we're getting a lot more daylight, which makes it a lot harder to fall asleep because it interferes with that circadian rhythm cycle, that natural sleep wake cycle, and the production of melatonin. Another thing that affects our sleep patterns in the summer is temperature changes. We've been talking a lot about how it's hotter in the summer, it's more humid in the summer, and so that definitely affects our sleep in the summer. Irregular schedules, if we're traveling, we're going on vacations, we're attending weddings, we're doing all the things, and so our schedules are disrupted. And if we get off of our schedule, we are creatures of habit, we are human. Doing all these things definitely lead to inconsistent sleep patterns. Again, with the light exposure to bright light in the evening can delay the release of melatonin. We're going to talk about that again in a little bit. But that light exposure, those longer days, that more daylight, and being outside more definitely can disrupt our sleep patterns. So, what does this do to us when we have this disrupted sleep? It really affects our mood. It leads to irritability, it leads to mood swings, and then long term, when we don't have our regular sleep that we're supposed to get, our body gets frustrated and it leads to anxiety and depression down the road. It also interferes with our cognitive function. So if you find during the summer that maybe you're like, oh, my brain is just fuzzier than normal, it's likely because you're not getting as much sleep as you would during the rest of the year or as your body is used to on a normal basis. And so that affects our concentration, it affects our decision making, it affects our memory. Something to think about is if you're getting enough good quality sleep. And then finally, chronic sleep deprivation affects our physical health as well. It's not just up in the head sphere. It can lead to weakened immune function. So if you find yourself getting sick more often, think that, maybe you need to get better sleep. It can also increase our risk of chronic diseases long term, cardiovascular disease, etc. So look at what kind of sleep you're getting. And if your doc's not looking at what kind of sleep you're getting, take that upon yourself and see if we can make some changes to your sleep schedule. So, we talked a minute ago about sleep hygiene and addressing good sleep hygiene. And I know that Dr. Rachel is going to dive deep into this momentarily, but just some quick tips. Consistent schedule. I kind of talked about that up above. If our sleep schedule is disrupted by travel or vacations or shifting time zones, try and get on the most consistent schedule you can. Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. And have a sleep friendly environment, limit light exposure, and address an evening routine. We are creatures of habit, we are creatures of routine. And so we thrive on having a bedtime routine. It's not just for kids. I tell my kids all the time, you have your bedtime routine, I have mine. So that could include something like taking a nice bath or doing some light reading. Try and limit napping during the day. Short naps, little 15-minute cat naps, those are great. If your body needs that to reset your brain, go for it. But keep it short. Don't take like a 2-hour nap in the afternoon. It's going to make it harder for you to sleep at the end of the day. Watch your diet. Avoiding heavy meals right before bedtime, so a lighter dinner is usually better. Avoiding caffeine and alcohol close to bedtime. I know oftentimes people like to come home and, they think they're unwinding by having an alcoholic drink, but alcohol actually makes it more difficult for our body to get good quality sleep. And then if you do feel hungry, opt for a light snack. And then stay active. Regular physical activity, moving your body actually helps to promote good quality sleep. Try not to do vigorous exercise right before bed, but some gentle yoga and stretching, things like that, those are great right before bed. Now, in the summer, we do have some extra special considerations. We want to manage our temperature a little bit more. So, keeping the air moving by using fans or air conditioning, things like that. I know I need to sleep with the fan on and keep the air moving in my bedroom at night. If you have those longer days because it is summer, get some blackout curtains. That'll help to make it darker in your room. And then stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water during the day so that you don't go to sleep and then wake up with a headache first thing in the morning because you're dehydrated. Dehydration can affect your sleep in a negative way. And then a few mindfulness and relaxation techniques to consider, some deep breathing practices. I know I have a wonderful app on my phone that I like to use to practice some deep breathing exercises before bed. Progressive muscle relaxation. This is another great one. I have a recording that I like to listen to for this, a guided progressive muscle relaxation. And guided imagery is always great to help you visualize a nice, relaxing, peaceful scene to help you fall asleep. But let's dive deeper into some of these. And I know that Dr. Rachel has a lot more to share on this.
Okay, campers, that was a great presentation by Dr. Holly. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about what are the requirements for having optimal sleep, just really great sleep, the best sleep of your life. I can't guarantee, but excellent sleep so that you feel refreshed and you can be your best self because summer's calling and we want to have the energy, the vitality, the mood, and cognitive faculties to enjoy the rest of this gorgeous weather. So when we're sleeping, our bodies really do like a cooler room. The ideal temperature is somewhere between 65 to 68 degrees, or even slightly cooler, but really up to 68 degrees for most people. And making sure your mattress is in good repair, it not too soft, not too saggy, doesn't have spots with broken coils, is really just a common sense thing that we should all do. And yet, because of the cost of getting a new mattress, we don't do it. So make sure your mattress is safe and effective for your sleep goals. And bedding, having bedding that's not too heavy for the winter, for the summer, and is appropriate for the winter is really important. Um, Making sure your room is dark. I don't know why so many of us have TVs in a room, but we do. And we don't want to have TVs or other electronics that have bright digital readouts, or even having night lights. I know our kids, when they're little, really need night lights, keeps the boogeyman's away, but it does prevent us from getting into a deeper sleep. So look for ways to avoid having electronics in your room or dim them if they're in there. Use blackout curtains to have to seal out street light. This is so important for all aspects of our mental and physical health that I recently just sent a patient a really comfy sleep mask because he has a window at the top of his bedroom that it's an odd shape. It's a triangle. They can't get a blackout curtain that fits it. So I was like, you really need to sleep. It's going to help you hit your health and wellness and weight loss goals. I just got him a very comfy, very nice eye mask, and I'm hoping that he uses it. His sleep is so important for all aspects of our health. Um, Control the noise in your room. Minimize the outside noise. Soundproofing, if you can do so, is really helpful. Earplugs. Having a quiet environment reduces the noise stimulation that might wake up your brain at night, and it helps you stay asleep longer. There's also ways to mask the noise. So if you don't like earplugs, you can't soundproof your room, there's ways to mask it. Noise machines or fans, using binaural beats. There's lots of information on binaural beats online. YouTube has a ton of free content. There's playlists on Apple, Spotify, Google, Samsung Music. And what happens is you have to wear earplugs or headphones with binaural beats, but there is two different frequencies in the music that your ears listen to. And one ear will latch onto one frequency, the other ear latches onto another frequency, and it induces different brain waves in different brain waves. And the brain waves help us with our sleep or with focus or with attention. So when you search on YouTube for your free content for binaural beats, make sure it's the ones that are for sleep. Just put in binaural beats, sleep. There's all types of noise that people will talk about. There's pink noise, there's white noise, and there's green noise. I didn't list green noise here, but it's a subset of white noise. There's brown or red noise, and there's black noise. At the end of this handout that you are going to get, at the very bottom, I explain the different types of noise. So don't be confused. They're just all ways to mask noise, and it helps us with sleep. And there's no one perfect noise for all people. Pink noise is often described as a flat or an even sound, and it's all spectrums of sound. And there's a lot of natural sounds for pink noise. It's rustling leaves, it's steady rain, it's wind, it's heartbeats. I remember when my nephews who are 14, they're starting high school this year. It blows my mind. But I remember 14 years ago when they were just little babies. I went to to see them and to support my sister and brother-in-law and helping them get some time together and just meet and spend time with my gorgeous little baby nephews. And I remember they had this bear that had a heart beat sound, and it was just the only thing I could do to get one of my nephews who had really bad colic reflux at the time to sleep. It was in the baby Bjorn, and I stuffed the bear in so that he could hear this heartbeat. And it kind of was like as if he was still in the womb. And it's how I got him to sleep, severe reflux and all. That pink noise is really soothing for him. So I know it works. White noise, a lot of frequencies. It's like the TV or radio static, the whirling fan, hissing radiator, lots of different types of white noise. And white noise is most often recommended for folks who've got challenges with sleep or sleep disorders like insomnia. It's well studied, widely recommended. Brown noise, red noise has a lots, it's like a deeper sound to white noise, and it's low roaring sounds, it's strong waterfalls, it's thunder. And then for me, my preferred noise is actually black noise, which is pretty much silence. That's why I wear earplugs. It doesn't have to be complete silence. There could be random little bits of sound, but it's the absence of other types of noise. There are lots of apps online which will let you try out all the different forms of noise. Some of this stuff for creating optimal sleep is going to be repeats of what Dr. Holly recommended. Just we're emphasizing that there are some things that just are really important and foundational for people. That's why you're going to hear it a few times. So don't go to bed with a full stomach. That can also wake you up. It can be really uncomfortable. It can also lead to reflux, that burning sensation in the throat, and that can wake you. So no large meals at least 2 hours before bed, but do consider a snack. A good snack would have some fat and protein, cheese and crackers, a handful of nuts and seeds, toast with almond butter. You get the idea, but just a little something to carry you through the night to keep your blood sugar stable. I find that a little bit of protein, a little bit of healthy fat, or maybe not healthy fat, and a little bit of fiber is really helpful because the fiber is going to help slow absorption, and the fat and the protein are going to help keep you full longer. Avoid stimulants. I can't tell you how many times I've messed myself up with having too much caffeine too late in the day. And those energy drinks, Celsius, delicious Celsius, they've got about twice the amount of caffeine as a serving, a tall cup of coffee from Starbucks. They're 200 milligrams. I know I recently looked at them, and people are encouraged to drink those and then go work out. A lot of us work out later in the day because, mornings are harder. So avoid stimulants because they will interfere with your sleep. I say this as someone who loves and reveres caffeine. 2 p.m. is a good cut off for most people for stimulants. Also, nicotine is a stimulant that can keep you awake. So maybe don't go have that cigarette before you go to bed. There's think about nicotine gum, think about the patches. Maybe those are things that are keeping you awake. So look at your nicotine habits. Also, I didn't include it here, but if you are on stimulant type medications like Adderall, think about how close you are taking that to the end of your day. Are you kind of pushing the envelope and taking it at 5 or 6 p.m. and you're trying to go to bed at 10? That might not make the most sense for you. Maybe rearrange when you're taking your medications. Avoid alcohol. Alcohol interferes with our circadian rhythm. It actually causes a rebound effect. It sedates you and you're calm, you feel sleepy. And then once you metabolize off the alcohol, your body floods your whole system with stuff that causes you to be awake. Not to mention the fact, well, I'm going to also mention it. Alcohol also dehydrates you. It causes you to have to get up and pee. Even if you don't wake up after drinking alcohol, it can still interfere with the REM cycles and you may not be getting restorative sleep. You may just kind of be in that twilight zone, which a lot of us don't find restorative. Minimize electronics at least 30 minutes before bed, ideally longer. Electronics detox before bed helps your pineal gland make melatonin. And this gland that sits in your brain and is responsible for making your sleep hormone melatonin is really sensitive to the blue light that flickers off electronics. I tell you, after countless conversations with patients and just encouraging them to take a break from their phones, even when they have night mode or flux or blue light filters. They sleep better without the electronics. I think a lot of these night modes and blue light filters just aren't as effective as they claim. So electronics, just detox from them. Also, if you're on your phone, it might be engaging um, some part of your brain that's going to keep you awake longer, food for thought, things that your brain starts to think through and need to process before it can sleep. So electronics, minimum, putting it down 30 minutes before bed. Create a mindfulness practice, meditation, breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, brain dump, have a journal or funny papers where you are able to just take a few minutes and write out persistent thoughts, write through a to-do list, things that you're worried, things that you worry about, things that might keep you awake at night. Once it's on paper, you can refer back to it tomorrow. It's done. You can just put it aside for the night. And then consistent exercise. We know that heart rate elevation 3 to 4 times a week for, about 150 minutes a week really helps lengthen the deep sleep cycle, the non-REM sleep, the I'm out, I'm just out cycle. If possible, avoid strenuous exercise for a few hours before bed. I know after talking with trainers and Marissa Mankey, who owns Happy Hour by Marissa up in Kirkland, Washington, her philosophy is there's no perfect time to sleep. Just go ahead and sleep whenever you can. Sorry, not sleep. There's no perfect time to work out. Just work out whenever you can. I'm telling you, try to avoid that before bed by a couple hours. Consistent bedtimes and consistent routines. Our bodies crave routine. It makes us feel safe. So try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on your days off. And then consistently hydrate. I would not drink a gallon of water in the evening before bed and expect to sleep through the night. I don't like waking up multiple times a night to pee. So don't catch up in the evening, just drink water throughout the day. And then as much as we love our pets, if possible, try to have them sleep in their own bed, preferably their own room. Another overlooked thing, a couple of things for bedtime, creating that perfect routine is regularly clean and declutter your bedroom. A cluttered space is stressful for the brain. Even if you don't think you're stressed out, it is stressful. So keep your room clean and free of clutter. Vacuum many times a week. Sometimes dust mites and dust and pollen can cause low-level inflammation, making you not able to sleep deeply. And then soft colors. Using soft, calming colors in your room, on your walls, in your bedding can really help promote a sense of relaxation and calm. I love super saturated colors. I love colors, but not in my bedroom. Okay, my dears. So we talked about conditions for optimal sleep. There's going to be a lot of redundancy here, so we're going to go quickly through that through this handout. But falling asleep and staying asleep with an effective bedtime routine. Our bodies, our brains, our nervous systems like consistency. We may be thrill seekers and love adventure and new experiences, but when it comes time for us to be relaxed and lulled into a sense of sleep and safety, routine is key or queen, whatever. I'm partial to a king size bed, but I am the queen of this house. So bad joke, sorry. Had to have at least one. Anyway, routine is really important for an effective bedtime. So set a consistent bedtime, go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. It helps you regulate your internal clock and helps with hormone balancing for setting that circadian rhythm. Dim the lights before bed. Lowering the lights, not having the full spectrum lights that I prefer when I'm working because it helps keep my brain sharp and focused, is really helpful. When I was in school, we had this classmate, he and his wife had three, then four kids at the time we were going to school. They actually took out all the incandescent lights, and when the sun set, they started to have very calm, soft lighting in their house, and they found that all of them slept better. Um, anyway, so lowering the lights in your house, don't have full spectrum lights on until bed, until you turn off the lights for bed, can be helpful. It's a way to naturally signal and reinforce to your body, to all the hormones that need to happen, that it's time to start winding down. Also, it will help with production of melatonin, our sleep hormone, and we want that. We want naturally to be elevated in the evening, and that your stress hormones, which can override your melatonin hormone, sleep hormone, to drop. So sleep hormone high, stress hormones low. Put away your electronics. I know I've said this before, at least 30 minutes of a break, electronics break before you go to bed, ideally an hour. Some people need more than that. And what we want to do is put away all forms of electronics, your pocket computers, your work laptops, your work emails can last till tomorrow, most likely. And if they can't, you need to have a conversation with whoever's sending you urgent emails that interfere with your ability to sleep and perform at an optimal level tomorrow. You also should consider avoiding those paperwhite Kindles. I know that they say they don't have blue light, but they do. People try to do things like blue light blocking glasses. It helps some, but the truth is, completely unplugging from electronics is the best way to help promote melatonin and relaxation. And just have a hard and fast rule. Um, Not checking emails, not on your computer, not on your phone for X amount of time before bed. And stay away from the TV if possible. TVs in bedrooms, they should not be there. Create a relaxing pre-sleep activity. This could be something like reading a book, listening to soft music, practicing mindfulness or meditation. Dr. Holly has mentioned that wonderful progressive muscle relaxation. She's got a recording she uses. She's got some apps. There are lots of free ones on YouTube. It's the only time I would suggest you use your phone or electronics is if you're going to listen to a recording, and then have it set on a sleep timer so it doesn't continue to play content and you can just drift to sleep. The other caveat or exception I suggest is if you're going to be listening to a like an audible book or an audiobook, there is a story that's free on Audible. It's a whole series called Nothing Much Happens. A patient who had challenges with falling asleep or staying asleep turned me on to this, and it's presented as just little stories that nothing really happens in the story, and it's read by a very soothing author, uh, soothing tone, very quiet. It's very relaxing and soothing to the nervous system. Nothing much happens. Love it. I have it on my phone. I don't have to use it very often because I try to do all the things I'm recommending today. But fantastic and free if you subscribe to Audible. Take a warm bath or a shower. So our bodies have a slight temperature drop before bedtime. It helps signal to the body that it's time to go to sleep. A warm bath is not going to be too warm because our bodies are 98 degrees. Our bath water is going to be cooler. So if you're soaking in there, it's going to help melatonin be produced. It's going to help your body get that temperature drop and just relax. Add Epsom salts to your bath water. Epsom salts are full of magnesium, and our skin is a fabulous way to get magnesium. It just absorbs straight into through the skin into the muscle and helps muscles relax. If you aren't someone who likes to soak in a bath, that's okay. Um, there are many oral forms of magnesium, which we'll talk about in the next section of this ND summer camp. But topical magnesium is also helpful for helping relax muscles. Consider some aromatherapy. Lavender essential oil is fantastic for calming the body, soothing the brain. If you don't want it in your bath water, a little spritz on your bedding can also be helpful for helping your nervous system. go ahead and calm down. It's part of a class of plants called nervines, meaning plants that have effects on your nervous system, and it's a calming nervine. Consider a light snack or bedtime tea. There is also something that went viral last year called Sleepy Girl Mocktail, which has pomegranate juice, not pomegranate, it has tart cherry juice, and tart cherry juice has a little bit of melatonin in it naturally. There's some magnesium and like a prebiotic soda, or you could just do seltzer, but it's delicious. I tried it and it does help with sleep. And um, keep your snack light, a little fat, a little protein, a little fiber, always great for helping keep your blood sugar stable throughout the night, but no heavy meals. We don't want you waking up with reflux. Uh, and then just incorporate relaxation techniques, the progressive muscle relaxation, gentle yoga, gentle stretching can all help calm the mind for bed. And I love journaling. Journaling, write down the best part of your day and end your day thinking about something that makes you happy. A great way to feel love and have all those feel good hormones in your body as you're trying to calm down that nervous system for sleep. And if you're someone who likes to prepare and feels anxious or worried or wakes up with ruminating thoughts about, oh my goodness, did I do this? Take a few minutes to prepare for tomorrow. I always pack lunches the night before for my kids, and I've packed a lot of school lunches. But packing lunches, having it ready to go in the fridge, just needs to be grabbed out with have a iceberg thrown in, is one way I don't have to stress about making sure my kids are eating nutritional, healthy, a good meal that's appropriate for their growth and supporting their energy and their cognitive health. And it's all done, ready to go. I pack bags. We have summer camp. Kids' summer camp bags are all set, ready to go. Nothing needs to be done the next day other than grabbing a lightweight sweater from this coat hook on the way out the door. So if you're someone who worries about things like that, take a moment, pack it so that you can forget about it. Okay, so the last section of this week of ND Summer Camp is talking about sleep aids and maybe some alternative supplements. And I apologize, I've got a lot of words on this handout for you. I just thought it was important for you to understand why I'm saying no to Benadryl as a sleep aid, since it's in so many over-the-counter sleep aids, and some alternatives and why there may be a better option. So I say no to over-the-counter sleep aids that have Benadryl for most people. The occasional use of Tylenol PM is fine, or if you need it for resetting your clock when you're traveling for a night, maybe two is okay. But it's not meant for sleep, even though it is widely available for sleep in over-the-counter sleep aids. And this is why. It is an antihistamine. It's meant to block histamine and prevent allergic reactions. But we have histamine receptors all over our body, including in our brain. And Benadryl is just acting on the histamine receptor in the brain, making you feel sleepy, feel drowsy, and fall asleep. And unfortunately, it's not natural sleep. It's not something that will help you get into deep sleep. In fact, antihistamines like Benadryl block a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which is something that we need to regulate our REM cycles. REM cycle is the cycle in sleep that's part of dreaming. It's that rapid eye movement. That's what REM stands for. And we need that rapid eye movement, that REM part, to help integrate our thoughts, to help us process stuff for our memory. And this is when deep, more restorative sleep can happen. So when you're taking antihistamine-based sleep aids, you're increasing the time you spend in that light sleep, the sleep that does not help you feel rested. So yes, the REM cycle is part of the cycle that involves dreaming, and you're spending more time in that state when you take the Benadryl and less time in that deep sleep. So REM has different cycles. I apologize, I said that a little confusing for a second, but Benadryl blocks your ability to get into that deep sleep phase. And if you spend too much time in the light sleep phase, you don't feel as rested. You're more likely to feel sedated and woozy the next day, lethargic mentally and physically. Also, if you're in the REM sleep phase, it's likely that you've had more tense muscles, so your muscles might feel a little bit more fatigued, adding to that physical fatigue. The next day, a lot of folks feel like they have a hangover, a sleep hangover, and that is just exhausting. People who take Benadryl as a sleep aid are more likely to be forgetful, to have dry mouth, to feel dizzy, and have challenges focusing the next day. And as we get older, we're more likely to wake up in the night when we take Benadryl as a sleep aid and fall because we're just so disoriented. So I do not like it. I feel like it's an increased risk for falls. So what should you take instead of Benadryl as a sleep aid? There's a lot of options here. I'm only going to suggest 5. We're just going to go through 5. And I'm going to tell you why these might be a good option. Promote with the bedtime routine, with the having the room at a certain temperature, at taking that bath, at having a electronics detox before bed, because it is our primary sleep hormone. It's part of our neuroendocrine system, and it helps us sleep at night, and then it goes away during the day. So it should be highest at bedtime and be processed and metabolized throughout the night, and then go away when we wake up. So it is something that we make in a in a center in our brain called the pineal gland. And we actually do need something called tryptophan to make it. Tryptophan is the thing that is in turkey, and it's why they joke that you feel sleepy after Thanksgiving. It's because you've had so much turkey. It's the tryptophan. Other things have tryptophan, and the truth is you're probably sleepy because you overate and had a whole bunch of carbs and then crashed. But we need that, which is why having a little bit of protein with dinner and before bed can be helpful for sleeping, in addition to the blood sugar stability. And blue light blocks our ability to make that full spectrum daytime lights can also inhibit that. Like these light bulbs would not be in my bedroom just because they are going to impede my ability to make melatonin. Supplements with glycine. Magnesium glycinate is also something that is helpful for sleep, and there's different forms of magnesium I'm going to explain to you in just a second, but glycine just by itself is helpful. It's a non-essential amino acid that acts as a neurotransmitter. Glycine aids us to get to sleep in a couple different ways. It helps increase our serotonin hormone, which is the hormone that helps us feel happy. It's a positive mood supporting hormone, but our body takes serotonin and metabolizes it into melatonin, our sleep hormone. And it helps us reduce our body temperature at night, and we need it for regulating body temperature. And as you've now heard several times, body temperature regulation is really important for sleep. And it helps us fall asleep faster and more quickly and stay asleep in the deep sleep part of our sleep phase. And then magnesium. Magnesium has a lot of different forms. Some are really easy, well absorbed, some aren't as well absorbed. Magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate are 2 forms that really help us fall asleep. They're well absorbed, help us with muscle relaxation and sleep. Magnesium, just like all minerals, are bound to something. So it's magnesium that's bound, or sometimes called chelated, to something else. I don't like the oxide forms. There's no function in our body for oxides other than to create kidney stones when we are dehydrated. So I don't gravitate to suggesting magnesium oxide as a sleep aid. But the glycinate, bisglycinate, or magnesium citrate forms, all well absorbed. Citrate is a little bit less absorbed than the glycinate or bisglycinate form, and it does absolutely help soften stool. So it's a little bit of a laxative, not as much as other forms, but definitely if you struggle with being able to go number two, that might be the form to use. All forms of magnesium are generally safe and well absorbed or will help with sleep. I do have forms that I think are better absorbed than others that are less likely to cause diarrhea, and I've listed that here for you. And I do want to say magnesium is important for so many different chemical pathways in the body, but in particular, it is important for helping us regulate our melatonin production. L-tryptophan and 5-HTP are amino acid precursors to several hormones, neuroendocrine hormones, including serotonin, our happiness hormone, and melatonin, our sleep hormone. If you are on an antidepressant such as Wellbutrin, I'll just say SSRI or atypical SSRI, please do not just start 5-HTP. 5-HTP could give you too much of a good thing, which is serotonin, and you could develop something called serotonin syndrome, which can be life-threatening. So definitely worth a consultation or a query to your prescriber if it's safe for you to take if you're on any sort of mood enhancing medication. But if you aren't on that and you want to try L-tryptophan or 5-HTP, the way it works is it increases serotonin and melatonin production. And several other vitamins and minerals are really important for helping us utilize the 5-HTP or the L-tryptophan to make melatonin. Things like vitamin B6, B9, zinc, and magnesium. So if you take 5-HTP, make sure you're taking a well-rounded, well-absorbed multivitamin, multimineral. I've got ones I love and I know are highly effective. If you're one of my patients and aren't taking a multivitamin, please let me know. I'm happy to share my favorites. And then my fifth and final supplement to consider for a sleep aid is lithium orotate. Lithium is a naturally occurring mineral. It's something that has been prized for its effects on our health and well-being. There are rumors that Mark Twain, the famous novelist and essayist, would travel around the United States to go to different spas to take in the waters. And he went to ones that were rumored to have high levels of lithium because he thought it was good for his health and for his mental health. And that guy is sharp. I don't know if you've ever read any of his stories or essays, but they're brilliant. Lithium orotate is not the same as lithium carbonate, which is the medication that's used to treat bipolar disorder. And we're talking about small doses when we use the natural form of lithium. We're talking about 5 to 10 milligrams. And what that means is just a very tiny dose. Whereas with the medication form, it's multiple hundreds of milligrams. This will not affect your kidneys. There's no negative health impacts. And it's something that you're naturally getting in microdoses in your vegetables and potentially in your water if you do well water in certain areas of our country. Anyway, lithium orotate helps regulate neurotransmitters that govern our mood, our sleep, and our appetite. Lithium helps lower our stress hormone and increases our acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that helps improve REM, including our deep sleep phase of deep sleep part of our sleep phases. People who use lithium can use lithium situationally, meaning they can use it as needed to block anxious thoughts that can spiral. I sometimes call it the hamster wheel thought, the one that goes around and around and around and doesn't ever get somewhere to its logical conclusion. So it's like the thoughts that you worry about that aren't helpful. I mean, if you're having these thoughts, get up, write it down so that it's no longer in your head. But the lithium can help break that cycle as well. And I do want to have a caution. If you have pre-existing kidney disease, maybe just out of an abundance of caution, consider a different sleep aid, but not a sleep aid like Benadryl. Well, campers, there you have it. Week 8 of ND Summer Camp. This week we talked about sleep. Dr. Holly gave a great presentation on sleep disorders. I talked a little bit about establishing a bedtime routine and kind of conditions for optimal sleep. I also mentioned why I am anti Benadryl as a sleep aid and maybe some alternatives to think about. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm so grateful for all of you and for Dr. Holly for this wonderful 8 weeks where we talked about so many wonderful, positive things to help you live your best life and have a safe and sane summer. Dr. Holly, thank you so much for being my co-counselor this camp. And I hope
Yeah,
that
thank
this is the
you.
first of many years of doing Indie Summer Camp.
Yeah, thank you so much for putting this together. This was great. I had a lot of fun.
So campers, if you found any of this helpful and or if you'd just like to get really good information out to the world, could you please like and share this on social media? We will be having Indie Summer Camp available for all of you if you missed a session or if you just want to refer back to something. And for future campers who maybe didn't hear about us 8 weeks ago, uh, it's just going to be up all year because it's good advice. But share it anytime you see this, regardless of if it's, you know, July, August, or December, so that good information can be shared widely because we want people to have a happy, healthy existence and just live their best life. And that's really, truly why we put together ND Summer Camp. We'll talk with you again soon. If you'd like to work with either Dr. Holly or myself, our information is on this page. Feel free to reach out. We both offer free discovery calls to make sure we're a good fit and that we've got the tools to help you meet your health and happiness goals. Talk with you
100%.
soon.
Thanks, Dr. Rachel.